Hey guys, so it's been a while. I want to share a book I've read and a book I'm reading. So I've heard a lot about this author, Adam Grant. He's written 4 books, Give and Take, Think Again, which I have on the shelf but I've not read yet, and then this. If you're somebody who struggles with perfection, questioning yourself, maybe you were not raised in an environment where you were championed and built up, then I highly recommend Mindset by Carol Dweck. She talks about fixed mindset and growth mindset. You can jump on the internet and in 2 minutes do a fixed mindset, a scan of the attributes of a fixed mindset and growth mindset. If you don't have a growth mindset, and I've spoken about this so many times on this channel, in my opinion, you're screwed. You're stuck. You are not going to be able to build a company if that's something that you wanted to do, and it's definitely going to limit you in your career, even if you stay as an employee, which there's nothing wrong with staying as an employee. It's just, so Mindset by Carol Dweck, and then this book here would partner very well with it as a follow-on. And it's a very well written book. You can see how many notes I've taken. At the end, he summarizes 25 of the main points. So I'm going to share 3 with you now. It's stuff that you may have heard before, but what I found with a lot of these books is you need to read the same concept, sometimes from several different authors, before it really hits in and sinks. Before it really sinks into your mind or makes an impact on you. And I think of 2 books that are very similar, but it was the second one which impacted me. One is called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I have friends who've read that book and said it just changed their life. For me, it was a great book and it did impact me, obviously, to some degree. But it's only when I read Essentialism by Greg McKeown, I think his name is, that the message of focusing on the most important thing, Pareto's Law, which I've known about for years, but when I read Essentialism, it really, the message from The One Thing and Essentialism came to land. Okay, so that's what I found is I used to try and read one book and think, okay, this will take care of my habits, for example, but sometimes it's not until, as long as you're reading actively, you're not speed reading and it's going in one eye and out the other, so to speak. If you're reading actively, I read the whole page and then I circle or I underline anything which speaks to me, or if something really jumps out, I'll circle it, and then I try to summarize the page at the top. So I have a note-taking system there. I have a couple of other things I do. So yeah, it's sometimes several books you've got to read, but back to this book here by Adam Grant. There are 3 things I want to share with you from the end. And he speaks about character skills versus personality. Some people think that they're born with a personality and you're stuck with that. He argues in here, and I agree with him, that you can develop character skills and that they can make up for certain things in your personality which might otherwise hold you back in terms of the path that you want to go on in life. So he talks about how to build the character skills, but you can do it. So that's kind of a growth mindset, back to Carol Dweck's book, Mindset, way of thinking. He speaks about becoming a sponge, and becoming a sponge means your ability to absorb, but also your ability to filter out the noise. Again, Pareto's Law, you want to take in only, ideally, the 20 that gets the 80, the 20% information that's going to get you 80% of the results. There's a great tip here, and I learned this when I was building a project. Do not ask people for advice. Do not ask people for feedback. As soon as you ask somebody for feedback, they go into critical mindset mode, and it's savage. If you're working on, for example, like an app or, as I say, a project, and you ask people for feedback, that triggers in the mind, I need to criticize this. And it's just not helpful. Instead, ask for advice. So that's a really great tip. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you've done that. So ask for advice, not feedback. And then last one, become an imperfectionist. And that helped me yesterday. I finally got to recording a suite of videos for a 7-day fat loss course that I'm building. And it's something that I've put off, I'm not kidding you guys, for weeks and weeks. I've wondered about the lighting and I don't look that good. Well, yesterday I was exhausted. I looked terrible, but I just decided, and maybe it was this book, Become an Imperfectionist, that helped me. It's now or never. Let's go. So reading these books, sometimes it's not a one-time fix and your habits are fixed. You need to read several and then it sinks in. I started reading High Performance Habits. I'd say it's quite an easy read. This has got a lot of great reviews. I know Imran Gadji has read this. There's a lot of repetition in the first 50 pages, like a lot. Sometimes repetition is the mother of all skills. So they say that all great teachers repeat themselves. So I'm ready to move on from the beginning section message, which is basically there are certain six HP6 or HP6 high performance high performance habits, which he says he's identified as the most important habits that you've got to build to be successful. He's measured them across thousands of high performers. So the first 50 pages, it's like, okay, I get the message. And now finally I'm jumping into the 6 habits. So I'm excited to get this read because as I've said many times on this channel, I massively am inspired by Imran Gadji. I just think what he's done is, I lose words really. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And I actually spoke to him in person and I asked him about a growth mindset, and he agreed that it's a very, very important part of it. But more than that, and at a deeper level, it's about your identity, how you see yourself. That's probably another video for another time. I just finished doing the Tony Robbins Time to Rise Summit, and he spoke about how to change your identity. Basically, our beliefs shape our feelings, which shape our actions, and then our actions are like a feedback loop that cause us to see ourselves a certain way. So if every time I'm late for something, I start to develop the identity of I'm just somebody who's disorganized and late. So you start to change your behaviors, and that can start to cast a vote, as James Clear puts it in Atomic Habits, for a new identity. Every time you take the different path and the different behavior, it casts a vote that shapes a new identity. Anyway, do I recommend this? It depends on you as a person, but I'd say for most people who do struggle with perfectionism and maybe don't have a growth mindset, this with Mindset by Carol Dweck is a very powerful combo. And I've mentioned the other book before. Probably if you struggle with perfectionism, I don't know what's wrong with my speech today. I'm struggling to get my words out. It's because I'm rushing. If you struggle with perfectionism and I'm not going to edit this video, I'm going to do this raw. A fixed mindset, then you'll probably also struggle with procrastination. You'll put things off. And so the book to deal with that, the best one I've read, is The Now Habit. It's a really, really good book. We don't procrastinate because we're lazy, we procrastinate because we're scared, basically. And then to take that one step further, again, this is an example of the point I was just making. I struggled badly with procrastination, and it was the Now Habit which helped me really understand it. But it was another book called Do the Hard Things First, or Do the Hard Thing First, which I didn't enjoy reading very much, but it was that book which kicked me over the edge with procrastination. And since I read that chain of books, so Mindset by Carol Dweck, there are others I've read, but The Now Habit and then Do the Hard Things First, procrastination is not really much of an issue to me anymore. I have tools and techniques to overcome it, and I have my view of procrastination and essentially what it costs you. So that's a pain motivation has been clarified. So if you struggle with procrastination, then now habit and do the hard things first. But growth mindset and change the belief that you can change, that you can really change your character, hidden potential. I recommend it. That video was all over the place, but there was some coherent logic to it, some string. I'll let you know how High Performance Habits goes. Give me any questions. What is this channel all about? It is about my journey of moving all of my earning online. And in the course of doing that, I've had to face a lot of demons and change how I see myself. And I've read, I used to struggle to read 1 book a year, 2 books a year. I've read maybe now 60 or 70 books in the last 2 years. I can't believe it. The way I've done that is to schedule reading time every day. I started with 2 pages a day. I did the Gym Quick Speed reading course, but I committed and scheduled to 2 pages a day and then built it to 3, then 5. And now I read an average of 20 pages a day. So hope this channel helps you somehow. Send me any questions, and I wish you well on whatever your dreams and goals are. Most importantly, without sounding cheesy, to be happy and healthy while you're on that path. One last lesson I learned, because I was with some good people last night, is you've got to be in community. If you're doing it as a lone wolf, life is awful. It really can be awful and very lonely. I live in London. It's a big lonely city if you let it be. Get around some good people, join a sports club, join 5 sports clubs, and find a culture that suits you, that you're happy in. I know people who, go to a good church, go to a book. There are reading clubs, if that's, go to different clubs and plug into a network if you are not plugged into one that is healthy and builds you up. Hope this helps you guys. Keep well.